So, what if I told you that the reason you feel kind of, I don't know, lost in a room full of native English speakers isn't because you don't know enough vocabulary,
Right.
but it's actually because you're using words that are a little too perfect. I
Yeah.
mean, you spend years drilling grammar, memorizing these really precise definitions, and learning the exact structural rules of the language, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's incredibly structured when you learn it that way.
Yeah. It's like you learn to read the sheet music flawlessly.
Yeah, and you know exactly what every single note should sound like in isolation. But then you sit down in a coffee shop with a group of locals, and suddenly no one is reading the sheet music anymore.
No, they're not.
They're playing jazz.
Yeah.
You know, the words blur together, the rhythm shifts, and that precise vocabulary you spent like years mastering is just nowhere to be found.
It's so frustrating for learners. So today on the deep dive, our mission is to build a bridge over that exact frustrating gap. We are really looking at the transition from knowing formal English grammar to, truly understanding fast-paced native speech.
Which is huge.
It is. We are decoding phrasal verbs, specifically tailoring this for intermediate and advanced learners, because we want to understand how native speakers actually talk about um, problem solving, communication, the pace of life, and just social situations.
Yeah, and to even start that journey, we kind of have to define the mechanics of what is actually happening in a native speaker's mouth.
Mm,
I mean, a phrasal verb is basically when you take a standard, everyday verb like break or take,
right.
and you just slap a preposition or an adverb onto it, like down or off.
Just stick them together.
Exactly. But the crucial part is that combining those words creates this entirely new, totally non-literal meaning. I mean, taking off suddenly has absolutely nothing to do with physically grabbing something, right?
Right. It means an airplane leaving the ground or, I don't know, a business becoming incredibly successful.
Exactly. And that non-literal shift is the trap for so many learners.
It really is. But I want to zoom out for just a second here, because why does English rely on these so heavily? I mean, why do we have this bizarre dual system where I can say, I will investigate the problem, or I can say, I will look into it?
Well, it actually goes all the way back to the year 1066.
Oh, wow. Taking us back to history class.
I am. It's the Norman conquest of England. Basically, French-speaking elites took over, and they brought all their really fancy Latin-based vocabulary with them.
Words like investigate, tolerate, mention.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the regular everyday people were speaking Old English, which is heavily Germanic. So
Yeah.
they used these shorter, much more physical words.
Ah.
And over centuries, those two languages just sort of mashed together.
So, wait, the formal words we learn in textbooks are basically the old aristocratic words, and the phrasal verbs are the language of the streets.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That perfectly explains the emotional difference. Like, if you are an advanced learner and you always choose the Latin-based verb, people will absolutely understand you.
Oh, for sure.
But you sound kind of stiff. I mean, you sound like a medieval lord. Using phrasal verbs is really what makes the language sound warm, relaxed, and conversational.
Yeah, I mean, choosing to say, I'll look into it instead of I will investigate, it completely transforms you from a detective working a crime scene into just a helpful colleague.
That is such a good way to put it.
Right. Or saying you put up with a bad situation instead of tolerating it. It makes you sound relatable rather than
Yeah.
like stoic and robotic. It's entirely about matching the everyday, casual energy of the people around you.
Okay, so looking at a dictionary of 10,000 phrasal verbs is completely overwhelming. So we are just going to throw the dictionary out today.
Please do.
Let's look at how these verbs actually function out in the wild. And let's start with the inevitable reality that things always break.
Always.
Yeah, when a project goes off the rails, the vocabulary completely shifts to action.
It really does. And in that space, you are going to constantly hear, figure out.
Okay,
Okay.
figure out.
Yeah, mechanically. To figure out means to understand or solve a problem. You might say, I couldn't figure out why the app kept crashing. Or, just very casually, give me a minute and I'll figure it out.
Like the mental cogs are turning.
Exactly, the cogs are turning.
Wait, I need to stop you there because we also have the verb sort out.
Okay.
And to a learner, figure out and sort out probably sound completely identical. Like if my car engine starts making a weird grinding noise, can I just say, I need to sort out the engine?
You really couldn't. And the reason comes down to the underlying mechanism of the verbs. I mean, figure out is strictly diagnostic.
Okay.
It happens in your brain.
Mhm.
You are looking at the car engine, you're listening to the noise, and you're trying to comprehend the mystery.
So it's all mental.
Right. But sort out is organizational and physical. You don't sort out a mystery, you you sort out a mess.
Oh, I see.
So once you know the car needs a new alternator, that's when you have to sort out getting it towed, paying the mechanic, finding a ride to work.
Okay, that makes so much sense. It's basically the difference between being the detective and being the janitor.
Yes, perfect analogy.
But where does workout fit into all this? Because I hear people use that for problems too, not just going to the gym.
Yeah, workout adds a third dimension, which is collaboration and negotiation.
Ah, okay.
It implies finding a practical solution together.
Right.
Like you sit down with your partner to work out a better budget, you don't figure out a budget, the math itself isn't a mystery.
Right, 2 plus 2 is always 4.
Exactly. You negotiate it until it succeeds.
Let's lock this down with a real-world scenario for you listening. Imagine you're working on a massive team presentation for work. First, you were sitting alone at your desk, you're staring at the screen, and you simply cannot figure out why the slides look totally different on your laptop than on the boss's screen.
Right, so that's the diagnostic phase, the mystery.
Exactly. Then, you grab a coworker, and the two of you sit down to work out a completely new formatting template that functions on both operating systems.
Which is the collaboration and negotiation phase.
Right. And then finally, you take all 50 slides, you put them into the new template, you organize the files into a clean folder, and you sort out the messy final version to send to the team.
Yeah.
3 completely different phases of fixing a problem, requiring 3 completely different verbs.
And, once you mop up that proverbial oil spill and actually fix the problem, you face a brand new hurdle.
Oh, yeah. Having to explain what went wrong to your boss without getting fired.
Exactly. The vocabulary naturally shifts from fixing to framing.
And this is where the communication verbs come in. I imagine these are heavily utilized in navigating office politics and really careful conversations. So let's start with bring up, like you bring up a topic.
Yeah, think about the physical metaphor of the verb itself. I mean, to bring something up is to physically lift it.
Right.
In conversation, you use this when a topic feels heavy, sensitive, or awkward. You are deliberately lifting something heavy onto the table for everyone to look at. Like, I didn't want to bring up the budget deficit, but we have to discuss it.
So it's never used for light, irrelevant things.
No, never.
You wouldn't say, I decided to bring up the fact that I had a sandwich for lunch. The weight just isn't there.
Precisely. It sounds ridiculous. Now compare that weight to our next verb, which is point out.
Point out, okay.
This means calling attention to a specific detail. Like, I just want to point out that the deadline was actually yesterday.
It's funny, listening to that sentence point out feels almost like polite camouflage.
Polite camouflage. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, if I tell a colleague you missed the deadline, that is a direct attack. But if I say, I just want to point out the deadline, I am gently directing their attention to a neutral fact in the room.
Exactly.
I'm essentially telling them they messed up without actually sounding like a jerk.
It is brilliant for office harmony because it removes the personal friction.
Yeah.
You aren't challenging their competence. You are literally just being a helpful tour guide, pointing at a sign they happen to miss.
That makes total sense. And that brings us to speak up. Now, the literal translation is obviously a volume command, right? Like, speak up, the microphone is off. But in a professional setting, it shifts completely. Like, if you disagree with the new policy, you need to speak up now.
Yeah, it transforms from a request for volume into a demand for courage. You are asking someone to project their voice metaphorically.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, to take a stance, to make their opinion known in a space where it might be a lot easier to just stay quiet.
So if you are listening to this and you want a strategy to deploy these tomorrow, think about your social objective. If you need to introduce a heavy, awkward topic, you bring it up.
Right.
If you need to correct someone without making an enemy, you point it out. And if you need someone to show courage and take a stand, you ask them to speak up.
And, navigating those careful conversations in the workplace or the classroom, it introduces another layer of complexity, which is the blistering speed at which all of this happens.
Oh, yeah.
Deadlines loom, emails pile up, and the language adjusts to reflect that pressure.
Pace and progress verbs. As a language learner, I feel like the tension of these verbs feels incredibly real. So let's look at keep up. This means continuing at the same pace or the required level, like you have to keep up with the reading assignments.
The visual is really powerful here. Just imagine you are jogging alongside a moving train. You are grabbing the handle, your legs are pumping, and you are terrified of losing your grip.
That's stressful.
It is. The anxiety is baked right into the phrase.
Because the moment your grip slips, you experience the second verb, which is fall behind. You lose progress compared to the schedule. I mean, you miss 2 days of work with the flu, and suddenly you have fallen behind.
Yeah, the train leaves the station,
Yeah.
and you are standing alone on the tracks.
That leads to the resolution, though, which is catch up. Reaching the same point again after losing ground, you drink 3 cups of coffee, you study all weekend, and you finally catch up to the rest of the class.
Right, and the word catch implies the sprint. I mean, you have to
Ah.
run much faster than normal to grab the train again. But catch-up actually has a fascinating dual identity.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it isn't always about stressful academic progress. In social situations, it completely sheds the anxiety and becomes incredibly warm. Like, it has been months, let's catch up over coffee this weekend.
Ah, yes. Catching up socially takes us entirely out of the office and the classroom and just drops us straight into the living room. This is the everyday language of managing friendships, habits, and, well, limited resources.
Yeah, the adulting category.
Exactly, adulting.
Let's look at how native speakers talk about informal socializing. We have hang out, which simply means spending time casually, and we have drop by.
I'm so fascinated by drop by because if a friend texts me and says, I will visit you at 3:00 p.m., I immediately feel my blood pressure rise.
Oh, totally. Panic sets in.
Yes, I need to vacuum the rug, clean the bathroom, put out an expensive keys board. A visit sounds so formal and heavy, but if they say, I'm going to drop by this afternoon, the pressure vanishes entirely. Why is the psychology of those two phrases so vastly different?
Well, it comes back to social engineering.
Yeah.
I mean, a visit is an event. It requires the host to perform. But dropping by borrows the visual mechanics of gravity.
Gravity.
Yeah, something that drops is just briefly passing through your space without intention. It basically implies, hey, I happen to be in your neighborhood. I will be there for 10 minutes. Do not make me tea.
That is so freeing.
It's a linguistic tool specifically designed to lower the stakes and increase intimacy.
It's giving the other person permission to be in their sweatpants. I absolutely love that. Now, what about managing the realities of adult life? The budgets, the bad habits, the running out of time?
Right, well, let's assume our listeners know the basic definitions here. Like, give up means to quit, cut back on means to reduce, and run out of means to deplete.
Sure.
But the magic is really in the register. Let's look at cut back on. If you are struggling financially, saying, I have drastically reduced my expenditures sounds terrifying and clinical.
You sound like a bank.
Exactly. But saying, I'm trying to cut back on eating out softens the blow. It sounds like a mild lifestyle tweak rather than a full-blown financial crisis.
And run out of creates a very specific visual. You don't just lack something.
No, the phrase imagines whatever you need as a physical container. You are running out of coffee, you're running out of money, or you're running out of patience. You are literally watching the water level drop to the bottom of the glass.
Wow, yeah.
It feels much more urgent and physical than just saying, my patience is currently depleted.
And give up carries a completely different emotional weight than quit. I mean, if I say I quit smoking, it sounds like a sharp, aggressive, instantaneous decision. But giving up smoking implies a struggle.
Right.
You are surrendering a heavy burden. It honestly acknowledges the difficulty of the process.
And all these nuances really prove why rote memorization is so dangerous for learners.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just stare at a spreadsheet of phrasal verbs and their literal translations in your native language, you miss the container metaphors.
Yep.
You miss the gravity metaphors, and you miss the polite camouflage.
Memorizing a list of phrasal verbs out of context is basically like trying to learn how to swim by reading a textbook on hydrodynamics.
Good luck with that.
Right. You can memorize all the theoretical fluid dynamics you want, but the second you jump into the deep end of the pool, you are going to sink. You have to feel the water.
Exactly. Because in native speech, these verbs rarely travel alone. They clump together in rapid succession. To truly digest them, you really have to hear them woven together in a narrative, understanding the tone and the situation simultaneously.
Let's prove that point right now by dropping our listeners into the deep end of the pool. Let's talk about Carla and see how many of these verbs seamlessly string together in just a few seconds of everyday storytelling.
Okay, let's do it. So Carla starts a demanding new corporate job and an intensive evening course in the exact same week.
Ambitious. So at first, she brings incredible energy. She manages to keep up with her heavy workload, and she even finds time to hang out with her new colleagues on the weekend.
But, inevitably, the exhaustion hits. Her schedule gets totally chaotic, and she starts to fall behind.
The anxiety sets in. So she decides to bring up her struggles with her manager during a one-on-one meeting.
And her manager listens and gently points out that Carla is taking on tasks that aren't actually in her job description.
Realizing this, Carla decides to cut back on volunteering for extra committees. She sits down with her team to work out a much more realistic timeline for her main project, and she takes an afternoon to sort out the absolute disaster of her email inbox.
And with that new structure in place, she finally manages to catch up on all her delayed reports.
And the following week, when a friend drops by her desk to ask how the chaotic new job is going, Carla takes a deep breath, smiles, and says she is finally figuring it out.
See, a native speaker listening to that story wouldn't even register that 10 different phrasal verbs were just deployed in under a minute.
Not at all.
It doesn't sound complex to them, it just sounds like life.
We have covered a massive amount of linguistic territory today. I mean, we explored the diagnostic, collaborative, and messy phases of solving problems with figure out, work out, and sort out.
Yeah.
We looked at the heavy lifting, the polite camouflage, and the courage required in communication with bring up, point out, and speak up.
We felt the physical anxiety of the moving train, trying to keep up, trying desperately not to fall behind, and eventually sprinting to catch up.
And then we transitioned into the warmth of the living room, lowering the social stakes by dropping by to hang out, while managing the emptying containers of adult life by cutting back on expenses before we completely run out of money.
So if you are listening to this and feeling the urge to write all 15 of these down on flashcards right now, I have a very specific homework assignment for you.
Uh-oh.
Don't. Just put the flashcards away. Choose just 5 verbs from today's deep dive. Just 5 that really resonate with your actual everyday life.
That is great advice. Focus on the high-frequency power set. Native speakers don't use all 10,000 phrasal verbs equally. If you master a small, incredibly common set words like figure out, bring up, and run out of, that is the absolute secret to massive, fast improvement in your listening comprehension.
Exactly. Take those 5 verbs and create your own mini narratives. Just like the story of Carla. Connect them to a real problem you solved yesterday or a real conversation you need to have tomorrow. Because knowledge is only valuable when you pull it out of the textbook and apply it to the water you are actually swimming in.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you listening with a final thought to test out in the real world. Tomorrow, when you are watching a movie in English or sitting in a meeting with native speakers, don't just translate the words. Listen closely for the exact millisecond a speaker switches from a formal Latin-based verb to an earthy, everyday phrasal verb.
Oh, that's a great exercise.
Ask yourself why they made that shift. Are they trying to soften a financial blow? Are they applying polite camouflage to an awkward mistake? Or are they subtly lowering the stakes and inviting you into a warmer relationship? You might just realize that phrasal verbs aren't just frustrating vocabulary to memorize. They are the secret emotional dials of the English language. So go out there, stop reading the sheet music, and see if you can hear the jazz.